Well, that got weird, didn't it? Howdy, guys. What is happening? Sorry, I gotta touch the screen here and see who's on here. Oh my gosh, we got some activity. Neil, awesome. You're up writing a screenplay? Yeah, Bob. It is kind of late here. Believe it or not, I actually went to the gym late and got back here and got a wild hair, and I said, screw it. I'm gonna jump on and see what people are up to. And so I picked up the guitar, and this is kind of what I'm playing. Yeah, Eduardo, I want to drink a cold beer too. Don't have one though. Seymour, tab for Isn't She Lovely? Did you shoot me a message about that? I thought I saw something about that. I have to go back and check my message. Yes, you did. Okay, cool. No, I don't have a tab for Isn't She Lovely. But to be honest with you, the chords you should be able to, I mean, again, it's the C sharp minor to the like F sharp dominant, that B11 to that E. Now, are you talking about the lead part up top, the that part? Yeah. I don't have a tab for that, but there are a bunch of really, really good ones out there. But just for you, I'll kind of zoom in here and kind of go over this again, just because it's such a great little thing. So for those who aren't or haven't watched this Learn the Song, I did Stevie Wonder, Isn't She Lovely, and the tune is in E. Oh, I gotta address this real quick. This PRS neck is fantastic. I just saw that comment pop up. It's more like a Les Paul, especially this 594. It is supposed to be kind of like that perfect Les Paul, that magic, late 50s, I guess it is, or early 60s Les Paul. But anyway, if you ever get your hands on one of these, get a chance to get one. I mean, they're phenomenal. Anyway, so that lead is in E major. So if you're asking specific fret positions, I'm in E. That is the 12th fret of the first string. And then if you go up the E major scale, you have, right, that's 14, that's going to be your F sharp. 16, which is your G sharp, that's your major third. And then you have, I guess that's 17, which is A, which is your fourth. You have 19, which is B, which is your fifth, obviously. And then you can keep going up, although you don't really need to go too much further past there. You go to C sharp. I guess that's 21. Am I on 21? I don't know. Anyhow, I think I am. So that line, that is just E major. You're starting on 16. So, but I want you to know that's the major third. That's the key takeaway. That is G sharp. And then it goes up to the fourth. That's A. So it's G sharp, A, major third, fourth. Right? 16, 17. And then go right back down the scale. Right? So it's the... And the key to this is to give it a little bit of light vibrato. Don't go, sorry. And just, it doesn't really seem to work right. You gotta... Now those two notes there, that's 14 and 12 on the B string. So that's C sharp and B, that's a sixth and a fifth, a sixth and a fifth. It's still all E major. It doesn't leave E major at all. And then the only other thing that really happens is when it goes to that and again, we don't leave the E major scale. The only thing is when it goes to that chorus part, all you're doing is that's G sharp, A, and then back B to A. So the third, fourth, fifth, fourth, right? Right, and that's you really, and then you just walk back down. And then it finishes with the Isn't She Lovely again. Walk down. And all I did there is that third, second root. Right, G sharp, F sharp, E. I hope that's helpful. All right, I see you guys talking a lot about the necks. Forgive me poking the screen here, but so I'm using the YouTube app on my phone, and when you guys say something, I see a split second of it, and then it disappears, and I have to touch it, and then I have to kind of scroll. I don't really like this feature, but not everything's perfect. But what is good about the YouTube app, unlike the Facebook app, is that when I use my iPhone, I can actually look at the screen and see the stuff. Where on the Facebook app, if I use the angle where the screen is, it's all backwards. So I actually have to record with it, so I can't see the video on the phone, and that's why sometimes it's weird. You find that the Les Paul style necks too thick and full of varnish. Some are, and you know what? I agree with Neil. You do have to find the right one. Some are like baseball bats, and some are even too skinny. And even throughout this, and I'm speaking generally for all guitars now, but you can get the same model guitar from a lot of different brands, whether it's a Les Paul or Fender or whatever, and they're going to feel a little different, and some might have more or less lacquer, varnish, whatever. But I will say that as far as quality control goes, as far as consistency, PRS is absolutely as good as it gets. I mean, if you ordered 10 594s, they are going to be so close. I mean, every single one of them you're going to pull out of the box. It's going to be in tune. It's going to be set up. It's going to be ready to play. And they're all going to play about exactly the same. The window, I guess the manufacturing window, if you call it that, is very, very small with PRS. They're crazy over there about their stuff being extremely consistent and perfect. Whereas if you get a Gibson, and even more so a Fender, their window for what I guess they set their machines to, or however it works, I'm not really in that world, is a lot larger. We all know that if you go into a Guitar Center or something and you pick up 3 different American Strats or 5 different American Strats, 2 of them you won't like, 1 you'll really like, and the other 2 you'll be meh, kind of whatever. Like they're good, but they're not bad. It's very much the case, especially with Fender stuff, I find. But there's also some magic in that. You can go, because of that, you can go and you can find, like that magic Strat or that magic Telly or that magic Les Paul that you can't just go and buy. It's just that piece of wood, the way it came out, like it's just something special about it. Because the way they do it, it's just kind of looser, I suppose. I'm speculating. But I just find that with PRS stuff, like it's just so spot on. Like it is so, you never ever pick one up and the neck's not perfect, right? It might not be the size or shaped neck that you prefer, but it's perfect. Like it's set up literally perfect. And they're all like that. Anyhow, let's see if anybody asked any other related questions. Yeah, well, Hoof, it's a great name, Hoofhearted. And I don't know if you have a shop near you where you can go and you can test them out, but I highly recommend it. I mean, they are really, really nice guitars. I'm gonna keep messing around with this tremolo sound to see what I can get. Let's see here. You too, Bob. Take care. Getting a little noodly there. Let's go back and see what you guys were talking about. Nothing? Alright. Alright, Neil, see you later. Oh, we got someone from Finland at 7 a.m. I love that. Wonderful. Gee, you could definitely do it. You can definitely do it. Thanks for tuning in. Scott, do you think the S2 line is worth the money? You know, I do actually. So I played, let's see, I had an S2 Satin not too long ago. And I think you can check the price, but I want to say that's like in the $1,000-$1,200 range, something like that. I can't remember exactly, you know, what that particular model cost. But I can tell you that those are very solid guitars. I took it out for a bunch of gigs and was super pleased with it. I mean, super pleased with it. Again, I have to do a little more research on what, I'm not a model expert or anything like that. But I can tell you that the one I played, it was a satin, and I really liked it. Like, I really liked it. So yeah, I would go with yes. I really would. All right. All right, this is an interesting one. So, Gamma, it says, can you make lessons on different things? What different things do you want me to make a lesson on? This is an excellent opportunity for both of us. Tell me exactly what type of lesson that you would like me to do that's different. I realize that the whole song analysis thing, the whole approach to improvising thing, and everything I do on GuitarGate is kind of my kind of niche on here, and that it's not for everybody. But let me know what you want to see. That goes for everybody. Like, it just chime in. And if I'm not the guy to do it, like, for example, I'm not teaching classical guitar lessons. I wouldn't be that guy. Let me know. 3/4 time signature rhythm. All right. So more rhythmic stuff. 3/4 is like, your waltz thing, right? It's just basically, instead of counting things in 4, where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You count things in 3. Now, so it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, the trick is feeling that's where your pulse, right? Your pulse is on 1, right? So it'd be like. So that's right. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, that's kind of a slower country ballad that's like 6/8. But 6/8 is the same as 3/4. We don't have to get too heady and all that. The point is that the difference is, as opposed to common time, is instead of feeling things in subdivisions of 2 and 4, you're feeling them in subdivisions of 3, or 3 or 6, or some multiple of that. And that's what 3/4. A lot of waltzes, a lot of slow country ballads, a lot of things like that. And you can do it quicker. You can do. Went on a little tangent there, but that's the feel of 3. It's just feeling things in 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's what 3/4 is all about. I hope that somewhat helps and answers your question. But just know that 4/4 is where you're feeling everything in subdivisions of 2 and 4. 3/4 is where you're feeling everything in subdivisions of 3. It's that simple. Matt Patterson, know any Fish tunes? I get a lot of requests to analyze Trey's stuff and do some Fish tunes. I think I learned Axilla one time. God, I'm drawing a blank. But I like Fish, and I've seen him like 5 or 6 times because I have a bunch of friends that are, total Fish diehards, and they're always, anytime they come to town, I live in the Baltimore area, so it's always Merriweather when they come to town, or Philly. And I've seen them a bunch of times, and I've caught some great shows. For any of you that are Phish fans. Apparently, I caught like one of the mecca of shows. I caught a Sunday show at Merriweather. Was it last year or 2 years ago? That was like phenomenal, out of this world. I'm drawing a blank on a Phish tune right now as far as that I could just jump right into. But so many people have asked me about this. Like, please drop a song title in here and I will read it, and I promise I will get to it. And I will learn it because, man, people ask me that stuff all the time. So Gamma, again, oh, you're very welcome. It says, is it necessary to know the pentatonic scale to improvise? Where you're from, you don't use the pentatonic. You use the normal scale. So check this out. I generally teach people the pentatonic scale before the full 7-note scale for a few reasons. One, it's easier to start with smaller bite-sized pieces, right? 5 notes as opposed to 7. 2, the pentatonic scale does not have half steps. That's the difference between the pentatonic scale and the full 7-note, major or minor scale, right? The reason the pentatonic scale exists is to remove the half steps, to give it that more vocal quality, right? So learning pentatonic scales is incredibly useful because one, it sounds most like a voice. It's easy on the fingers. The shapes are pretty simple, but also, and I don't want to go too far into the weeds here, but also, when you start getting into deeper improvisation and you start not just playing whatever scale the song is in that key. So instead of doing key-centered based soloing, like this is an A, D, and E, it's 1, 4, 5, and A. So it's A major, D major, E major, and I'm just going to play A major pentatonic or A major scale over all 3 chords. That's a key-centered approach. The other 2 basic approaches are you have a chord scale approach, which is where you change the scale for each chord. It's a very, literal, kind of jazzier, kind of, spelling out the changes the most. And then there's chord tone soloing, which means you basically stay in one general scale, but you try to focus on hitting chord tones whenever the chords change. So pentatonics are very useful to start improvising and breaking out of that box of I'm just going to play A major over this whole progression, because if you start playing, say, A major over A, D major pentatonic over D, and E major pentatonic over E, you're going to get a couple things. One, these are simple shapes, so it's not hard to pull off, right? And you're, 2, going to get the root, 3rd, and 5th, the chord tones in those chords that you're going over. And 3, when you combine those, you get the full 7-note scale anyway. So I always like to try to teach people that first, and then we go to the full 7-note scale, because then you'll actually understand, you'll actually be able to use and emphasize the different things in that scale and have it not just be this 7-note thing of where do I start, where do I end, what do I hit, what do I not hit, right? I'll show you an example. And I hope this is helpful. Let me just restart my little loop here. And I'll do exactly what I just said. I'll do a 1, 4, 5, and A. So we'll go... So I'll do over the D, over the E, major pentatonic over the A. D major over the D. E over the E. You hear how you get each chord? All I'm thinking is basic pentatonics. Just staying in pentatonics. This is the power of pentatonics. I'm not much. Forgive that. It's easy to go on tangents in this thing. Again, I'm just thinking pentatonics here. I saw a question about arpeggios. That's what this rhythm's doing. I'm just going up and down the chord. E, root, fifth, root, right? So now I can do that and make other higher lead parts, right? I can grab a little triad. And then supplement with the pentatonic, right? Of course it is, right? Exactly. And now if I want to add those together, I get the full 7-note A major scale, since I know all the pentatonics. And then if I want to think more scale-based, I can then stay in one basic pattern and get A major get all the chord tones of each chord. Now I'm thinking the whole scale, but I'm still subdividing it by those pentatonic boxes, those chord-shaped boxes. And that's the power of pentatonics. Yeah, having a looper is pretty awesome, isn't it? I If any of you guys don't have a looper or some way to record yourself, you have to get one. You have to get one. Because playing with yourself, hearing yourself, recording yourself, giving yourself some context to solo over makes all the difference in the world. Because like if you try to do that same exercise without a backing track, it's a lot harder. But that's always a sign of someone who's done their homework, is if you can hear the chord changes without the chords playing behind it, right? Now you don't start doing like that, but if I think I see what that last comment said. But yeah, if you know where those are during a progression, you're gonna kill it. Yeah, that's it. Like if you know where they are, you can make it sound. You can sound it out without a backing track, without someone else. But if you do have someone else, and based on what kind of rhythm they're playing, whether it's arpeggiated, whether it's fast or slow, blah 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 blah, it's going to determine what you want to do stylistically. But if you know where everything is, you'll be able to hear it with just pentatonic scales. Hear how you can hear the chord changes even though I'm not playing one? And yeah, I understand. I only bought a loop pedal, I don't know, some time ago, but all growing up, I just jammed with other people. You can't beat it. That's the best way. That's definitely the best way. Let's see here. John, is there a good way to mix seventh chords with the natural major minor chords and pentatonics? All right, John, I hope you're still watching. So there are a lot of ways. So I'm going to choose one specific approach, and hopefully I don't lose you and it doesn't get too crazy here. But seventh chords are two triads stacked on top of each other. So, for example, let's say you take C major 7. Now, C major 7 is a C major triad, C, E, and G, but then with a B on top, right? That's your root 3rd, 5th, major 7th, okay? Now, if you look at just the bottom 3 notes, the C, E, and G, that is a C major triad. If you look at the top 3 notes, you have E, G, and B. That's an E minor triad. So C major 7 is really C major on the bottom, E minor on the top. So if you understand that, and you understand basic pentatonic scale shapes, then you understand that you can either play a C major pentatonic over that, and it's going to sound very C, very vanilla. It's not going to say anything about the C major 7th-ness, right? Because it doesn't have a B in it. A pentatonic scale, again, does not have half steps, and the half steps in the major pentatonic are between a 3 and 4 and the major 7th and the root. Since B is the major 7th, it is not in the pentatonic scale. So, if someone's playing a major 7th chord, and you play right, C major pentatonic, it sounds fine, except you're not saying anything about the B. You're not saying anything about the note that makes it C major 7th as opposed to C major, right? So, if you want to think in terms of pentatonic, play the upper pentatonic, the E minor triad, the E minor pentatonic, and you know what you're going to get? You won't get a C, right? So you won't get the root of the tune, right, of the chord, but you're going to get the 5th chord tone, 3rd chord tone, and the major 7th, which is not only just a chord tone, it's the chord tone, right? The 3rd and the 7th are the chord tones that make this the chord that it is, that makes it that jazzy chord. So, again, I'll put on like a little C major 7 kind of vamp here, right? I'll go like, and if I just play C major, it sounds fine, but it doesn't sound like that 7th, right? There's no B in there. If I place the E minor, right? There's that B. There's that B. You hear it, right? You hear it. So the question is, where do we resolve in this? Where do we resolve? Because C is clearly our root, and B is clearly the note that makes it the 7th, right? And those are a half step apart. And what you do if you're using pentatonics is you combine some flavor of C major pentatonic when you want to sound like C or resolve, and then you do some E minor pentatonic so you can get that B if you're trying to think pentatonics and do your pentatonic licks and whatever, and then again go back to C. And when you mesh those two together, what do you get? You get the full C major scale, but you understand that you have a C part and then you have an E minor part, and it's that B that the E minor gets you. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, that's how you would use pentatonics to approach soloing over 7th chords. 7th chords, again, are made up of two triads. A triad of the bottom 3 notes and a triad of the top 3 notes. So a triad starting on the root and a triad starting on the 3rd. So for example, just to reinforce this, let's look at the next chord in C major. D minor. Now D minor, if you make it D minor 7th, right? And what is this really? What is this really? Maybe you can see it better down here. D minor, and then D minor 7th. We're adding a C in there, right? We're adding a C. That's the flat 7 in D. So what is this? It's D minor on the bottom, right? And F major on the top. That's what D minor 7 is. Now, with the exception, and I don't want to go too crazy out here, with the exception of your 5 chord, your dominant 7th chord, which will have a diminished triad on top, a diminished triad on top of a major triad, all your other options, right, as long as they don't involve a diminished triad, you can use that technique I just taught you where you mix a major and minor triad to get the minor sounds or the major sounds. So to get the sound of the root versus the sound of the alteration of the 7th that you chose. I hope that makes sense. Let's see if there's any more before I call it a night here. John, you're welcome. G, you're welcome. Matt, very Lydian. Yeah, well, it does sound a little bit like that. Because that could have been a 4 chord, for it to be Lydian. I didn't really specify. You need another chord to kind of make it that. But to make it real Lydian, I would play that with it, that sharp 4 in passing in there. All right, well, I guess I'm going to call it a night here. I'll play a little bit more for you and kind of see what I come up with. But thanks for hanging out, guys. And again, I really appreciate all your support, and if you have any questions or anything, drop it in here. Email support@guitargate.com. Let me know what lessons you want to see, and I will learn a fish tune. Drop a fish tune in there if I haven't seen it, like one that's not like going to take me 6 months to learn because it has 94 different parts or something like that. Something reasonable. Preferably with a solo that Trey does that is like an iconic one that you guys really, really like and would like to see it kind of broken down. Because I would like to learn one of his iconic solos because people really love him and love his playing, and I would love to do that. So, Chalk Dust Torture. All right, I will check that out. See you on the other side. It's